So growing up, I didn't have a relationship with God. I wasn't interested in Christianity at all. I was just going with the flow, I guess. I wasn't really intrigued about God or Jesus or anything like that. But I knew that I wanted to travel, and I knew that I wanted to help people. So when my friend Lauren came to me with the opportunity about going on a mission trip, I was all for it. I wanted to go so bad. So she helped me fill out the form and apply. So before I went on the trip, I was really nervous because, for one, I didn't know anybody, and then two, I knew everybody on the trip were already Christians, and I knew that I wasn't, and I didn't want anybody to know that. I was really nervous that people were going to say that I was a fraud and that I was going for no reason, and that was not the response that I got at all from the people on the trip. It took me about 3 days into the trip before I actually told anybody that I don't have a relationship with God. I just wanted to come to help people. The first person I told was Jack. And when I told Pastor Jack that I didn't know God, he was like, that's okay, like that's fine. We're just glad that you're here. And that's something that I really needed, was somebody to tell me that that was okay, and that, you know, people still love you, like we still care about you, we're still glad that you're on the trip. So to have that openness and that kindness from people who knew that I wasn't religious was really great at that time for that transitional period that I was going through. So like during the trip, I had talked more about God than I have any time before that. I was asking Jack so many questions. I got so close with the people on the trip, like right off the bat. Everybody was super open and super friendly to me. And that was really great because I was so nervous to go on the trip because, like I said, I didn't know anybody. But the people were just so welcoming. And then so once we got that bond, I started talking to the girls on the trip and like talking about my experiences of not being a Christian and what that meant for me, and their experiences of how they came to Christianity, and listening to their testimonies. And that was just really inspiring because it wasn't like I was talking to a stranger anymore. It was like I was talking to an old friend, and just having that experience on the mission trip with people that were strangers before, and now people that I felt like I've known for years, to just be vulnerable with those people was really awesome at that time in my life, because I really needed some guidance. And I feel like those people were so perfect for me because they really helped guide my heart towards Christ. When I saw people that had so little, like these people didn't even have a house, and they were so happy and they were so loving and they just loved life. And I wanted that, and I wanted to be able to feel like I had a purpose. And I wondered, what did they have that I didn't have? I had all these material things and all these opportunities that these people didn't have, yet they were so much more wise than me and so much more ahead of the game, I guess, in a way. And I wondered, like, what is it that I don't have that these people have? And that was God. And I knew that, and I knew that these people were just so wise, and I just felt like they knew that this life wasn't permanent, that there was a life that was waiting for them. And I wanted that, and I knew that if something so powerful can move these people that have so little to know that they have a purpose in life, then that can work for me too. That can work for anybody. And that just really opened my eyes to see that God works in everybody, and he works in me, and he's with me even when I didn't think that he was, and he was with me on that trip the whole time. So when I left the trip, I had knowledge that I never had before. I knew that God existed, but it made everything in my life seem so minuscule. Like when my friends would come to me and talk about boys, I would say, like, that stuff doesn't matter. I came back happier than I left, and I feel like that's not the norm. People come back like more upset because they see like how other people live. But when I came back, I was so grateful for everything that I had, that I remember coming back the first night and laying in my bed crying because I had a bed to sleep in. And to know that, and I for the first time in a really long time, I actually prayed for the people that didn't have a bed to sleep in that night. And I prayed that their wisdom that they had bestowed on me I would be able to carry out and continue in my life, and not let what happened to me just stay on the mission trip. I wanted that to continue on into my daily life, and I knew that I wanted to inspire other people to go on mission trips and to realize that it's not just about going in and building stuff. It's about building relationships, and it's about building your relationship with God and helping other people who don't know God to be able to build that relationship. I knew going into the trip that I was determined to make the best of it. No matter what happened, I was going to do what it took to make the best out of that trip. And I truly believe that's what I did. I came out knowing that God existed. I came out making 15 new friends. And I think that if I didn't have those 15 awesome people on the trip with me that were helping me guide my heart in the right direction, I don't know where I would be. I definitely know I wouldn't have the relationship with Christ that I have now. And so if I hadn't gone on that trip, none of this would have happened. And I knew that if I wasn't courageous in that moment by going and making the best of the trip, I would have missed the best moments of my life.